I got caught up in a rental scam Ontario. I live in Ontario and I know it was dumb, but I ended up talking to the guy and he showed me pictures of the place and I talked to him through the phone. I ended up sending him $800 and after wanting to come visit the place he would keep making excuses as to why he couldn't meet me, and eventually it led to me asking for a refund until I have seen the place in person. He agreed and told me that his accountant had sent it back, but I never got the money back, and then he kept making excuses as to why he couldn't give it back. This all took place within a span of a week. I don't know why he couldn't have just scammed me and cut off contact, but he continued to talk to me. I told my bank about this and got rejected for a refund even though it was through e-transfer, so I thought it could be reversed. I also filed a report to the police, but they said they can't do anything. I thought they could at least trace where the e-transfer went to and reverse it from the guy. I know I messed up, but if anyone has tips on what I could do, it would be greatly appreciated. FYIOP, watch out for companies that will try and contact you as scam recovery professionals. It's just the scammers trying to scam you again. I don't know why he couldn't have just scammed me and cut off contact, but he continued to talk to me, hoping to get more out of you. You'd be shocked at how many people just keep sending money. There's a strong impulse to believe that you're too smart to be scammed, so people keep going down the rabbit hole. What you can do is send me $800 so I can teach you how to avoid scams like this in the future. What do you mean even though it were through e-transfer? E-transfer is the least reversible method. Unfortunately you're out $800. You spoke on phone and there is no trace of the conversation and agreement. Unfortunately nothing can be done, but you got your lesson. I run a seminar on scams 3 days long, $3,500 e-transfer only. Don't get ripped off again. There's nothing you can do apart from not fall for it again. E-transfers are so convenient and lovely, but it's horrible for scamming. Banks will not reverse it. I lost $1,500 for a scam I fell for 2 years ago. I consider myself a pretty smart and intelligent person who wouldn't fall for scam, but I did. Never will I send any transfers again or something like this. Know someone else who fell for this. They sometimes even show you a place, Airbnb usually, and then take your money. Never e-transfer anything. Cops said tough luck. Screenshot the listing and put his name and number out on blast to help deter others from falling for this scam. We are in a housing crisis and sadly more desperate people will fall for these scams. Expensive life lesson learned. Many of us have been there at some point in life. Move on. Just curious here, if OP uses a transfer within a certified bank, isn't there an option to claim fraud? Never send money before seeing the place, and even in some cases people have been known to use Airbnbs. Very sorry. I just finished listening to the Catch Me If You Can podcast. Seems like Canadian police typically can't or won't act on most issues of fraud. This reminded me of that. $800 for a very valuable lesson. It could have been much worse. He continued to talk to you after as many times the scammer continues to ask for money. Police is not being to help is the biggest problem. Generally they take a complaint. I am not sure why you were turned away. $800 for first and last? Or $800 for first month? You got scammed. Sorry fella. You need to see the place and sign papers before you hand over any money. Moral of the: send money to a person you've met once or better yet never met. SMH. This is no different to some gullible dude money to some hottie lifted photos from the internet who has managed to convince them they love them, in Canada and overseas. So from the story I understand if someone scammed people, especially elderly who are not into technology. Bank does nothing. Police does nothing. Is that is? Scammers win. He kept contact so he could see if he could get more money from you. That was an $800 lesson to never send money for a rental you haven't seen. Nothing you can do but eat the loss. I suggest reading up on common rental scams and others too, since you fell for a very easy to detect scam, and remove yourself of your own ignorance so it doesn't happen again. Who sends 800 without even seeing it? I hope you're pretty. Why isn't the e-transfer reversible traced? Clearly the receiver's personal info is known by the bank. Why don't they do anything? If this was credit card, at least you could file a chargeback and get it credited back. I have a tip on what you can do. Get a book about punctuation and how to write a proper sentence. Your submission has a keyword that seems to imply you have a question where your province is relevant. If you have not included your province, you should add it. If you already included your province, or this isn't relevant to your post, just report downvote this comment. The bot's feelings won't be hurt. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit message compose to our Personal Finance Canada if you have any questions or concerns. Report it to the police. I know people say you're out of money, but I was in the exact same situation in 2016-ish. Reported it to the OPP with all of the screenshots of our conversations, them saying they'll repay the money, the photos of the fake listing, and I ended up getting the money back in restitution 2 years later. I didn't expect it since everyone said the police wouldn't do a thing, but it's worth a shot. I would try reporting it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, they might give you some help. Even if nobody, police and banks, is helping and you are determined, you might be able to pursue and get a judgment from small claims court as a failed contract. The lawyer fees, subpoena to banks to get the ID will put you back multiples of the 800 you lost. You can still claim it all from the scammer. No legal advice, just a random internet stranger. E-transfers are done deal. Banks can't help with that. I always find it crazy that people like you actually exist. Judging by the way you write sentences and the lack of paragraph spacing, it's not a surprise you got scammed. Lesson learned for our $800 course. There is a total of 5 periods in this post and none of them were in the first half. That was painful to read, on top of falling for the oldest scam in history. Never pay anything via e-transfer. There is a large item you sign, the do you accept item, before you are able to sign up for e-transfers. Basically the bank is not responsible. I worked at 2 major banks. It's how it works at all them. Anyone who wants an e-transfer is usually not legit in terms of a business transaction, at least for me. That's textbook scam there. He likely kept talking to you to get more money out of you, maybe a full month's rent. FYI regarding Interac transfers. It is considered cash and non-reversible unless the transaction itself is fraudulent. For example, your account was compromised and money was e-transferred out. In your case, although your interaction was fraudulent, the transaction itself wasn't, as you authorized the transfer. Just so you know for future reference. As an aside, I'm a newcomer from the UK and I just can't quite believe how archaic the banking system is here in Canada. In the UK you'd send a faster payments bank transfer which arrives within minutes usually, and in this case you'd tell your bank what happened, i.e. you've been scammed, and most of the time they'll manage to return the funds. If the scammer used a different bank, it might take a few weeks while they discuss with the other bank, but often you'll have your funds back within days. Be glad it was only $800. Scamming should be taken very seriously by the police, but they put no effort into stopping it. I'm not even sure the point of people working and paying taxes anymore. Just sit at home and scam people. Much easier, and you'll never get caught. The scammer doesn't have an accountant at his fingertips. He's just trying to sound important. He could be in India, Russia, African random country, local. Who knows? They are in the business of taking money from other people. It's literally their job. Never use e-transfer unless it's someone you absolutely know. Once you've sent the e-transfer and more than 24 hours is passed, you're out of luck. Damn, $800 can do a lot for a long weekend. Woozy face.